Welcome everyone back to another video from Drinkard Brews. It is now January 2023. I hope everyone enjoyed a festive and safe holiday season, and I'm glad you're back to view more of my content. Right now in Facebook, as always, there is a revised 40 players group, and I would encourage you all to join it and sign up for leagues and ask for casual play as well. The monthly league has an optional challenge, obviously not required by players, but helps to spice things up month to month and give people a new play experience and to encourage creativity with deck building. The optional challenge this month is to play a tribal deck. So the first things that come to mind with revised 40 tribal decks are Plaguerats, Zombie Master and Zombies, Lord of Atlantis with Merfolk, Goblin King with goblins, or maybe something around Bad Moon or Crusade. But again, since the challenges try to inspire creativity among the players, I wanted to look at the different tribal types that exist in Revised and brew something new. So if you look at Gatherer, Force of Nature instead of being a force is an elemental. And the other four elementals are the two red elementals, fire and earth elemental, and the two blue elementals, water and air. It obviously will be very difficult to build around all five of these, and so we're going to build with one of each of the others and have an elemental tribal deck. I know that it's difficult to argue that this is tribal with only 4 creatures, but they're big enough that I think they can handle the board on their own. Instead of asking what is the Lord effect for tribal decks in Revised 40, I would encourage everybody to ask what is the payoff. So what is the payoff of playing Earth, Fire, Water, and Air Elemental? First of all 4 of these creatures are uncommons, so that frees up rare slots for us. There's some payoff opportunities there. And secondly, they're all very large creatures, and so because of that, we can take advantage of their sizable toughness and play the rare cards Earthquake. And so if our opponents play some creatures in the early game, we should be able to clear those off the board and then resolve one of our elementals. Or if one of our elementals is already in play, we can play Earthquake, keep the elemental on the board, and probably clear the opponent's creatures at the same time. We're going to need to get to that point, and so we have counter magic and 2 counter spells, 1 spell blast, and 2 power sinks. We can play these on turns 2 through 4 as long as we're making our land drops before playing an elemental on turn 5, or we can hold back a spell blast or counter spell with 2 mana available after resolving an elemental. Other efforts that we have to clear the board of creatures so that our elementals can get through with their damage and finish the game are lightning bolts, fireballs, and disintegrates. Lots of direct damage in this deck, so that hopefully with only 2 or 3 connections with our elementals, we should be able to finish the opponent off. Blue and red historically have a problem with artifacts and enchantments, and so 2 more of our rares are going to be Nevinyrral's Discs. These are a great turn 4 play, and then on turn 6 we should be able to tap and activate the disc and then use the rest of our 5 mana, again assuming we have made our land drops, to play an elemental to be the only permanent on the board other than lands. And our last rare is Brain Geyser. I chose this over Wheel because it is hard to leverage Wheel of Fortune with 5, 6, 7 X spells and 4 5-drops with the elementals. We probably would have cards in our hand. I didn't count the counters, so 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 X spells and 4 5-drops. We probably won't have an empty hand when we're ready to play Wheel of Fortune, so that's one reason to play Brain Geyser instead. And then the other draw spell available to us in Revised 40 is JM Day Tome. but Tome doesn't play well with discs, and so I'm going with Brain Geyser. And what we'll probably find is that most of our games, or not most of our games, but many of our games will be won by targeting the opponent with Brain Geyser and making them draw the rest of their cards in their library after a long grind, rather than using Brain Geyser to draw some cards ourselves. The rest of the deck has a whopping 18 mana sources, including Soul Ring, and then our island and mountain count favors mountains because if we count the red and blue pips, we have 2, 4, 6, 9, 12, 14 red pips, and the blue pips are 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. There's one greater red pip if I just counted all that correctly, and so we have one extra mountain. You could go the other way around instead if you want to be sure that you hit the double blue mana for counterspell. I could totally agree with that reasoning, but as it is, we end up with 8 islands and 9 mountains for a total of 17 lands. So this is a pretty wild deck for Tribal Month. I think that if you were playing this in a Tribal Challenge, in a Tribal Wars sort of event, if your group wanted to do that sort of build, that this would be a strong deck to choose because Discs and Earthquakes will be able to clear the opponent's board of their creatures. But in any case, I hope you give it a try and have fun with it. Thanks for coming by. Goodbye.